everybody! Come on, let's go! It's a little fresh out here, but a beautiful day. A day that, well, it's too bad we can't gather and have some fun, like go tobogganing, or I guess we could do that, or I don't know, go curling, something like that. It would be nice. The series we're doing has been looking at the question of faith in life, living our faith in life. And we've come to the end. Now we're taking a look at or thinking about the idea of courage and confidence. How do we do this well? How do we engage with the people in our life in a way that honors them, but also honors God? The most loving thing we can do for anyone is to speak the truth to them. But speaking the truth has to be done in a loving way. Truth is not a weapon we use. It is sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. And as I said in the last video, this is not about being in a fight that we show we're right. These tensions are a forum for us to model God's love. So, a couple of thoughts from Scripture this morning to help us build a sense of confidence and of courage as we seek to live a life of truth before God and before our coworkers. The early church were not strangers to these kinds of issues, these kinds of challenges. So we can look at their history and we can see what their track record was, how they were taught, and it's fairly easy then to cross a line from, or draw a line from their reality to ours. In John chapter 16, John 14, 15, and 16, Jesus has been giving final instructions to his disciples. They're sitting around that Last Supper together. Judas has already left, and Jesus warns them that tough times are coming. And in John 16, verse 33, he makes this comment: "I have told you these things so that you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world." And that phrase, take heart, is actually the word be courageous. It means to be willing to dare, to be bold, to have cheerful encouragement in spite of your circumstances. There will be times of loss. There will be times of rejection. There will be times, the disciples were told, when it is not going to go as planned. But that's okay, because Jesus said, I have overcome the world. So, if Jesus has overcome everything, if he's victorious over everything, if he has demonstrated his authority by the resurrection, then we can share truth with confidence. We can have courage. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it does mean that we are not abandoned as we seek to share our truth and love. In Ephesians chapter 6, where Paul has just taught the church at Ephesus, and that letter would have been circulated amongst many churches, to put on the armor of God, he then concludes that section by saying, "Pray for me that I might have courage." He says, "Pray also for me that whenever I speak, words may be given to me so that I will fearlessly make known the mystery of the gospel." A couple of things to note here. First, he acknowledges his own limitations. He's intimidated too. That's the reality of it. And if Paul can be intimidated, how much more can we be intimidated? But then he prays that his words would be bold and that the words would be given to him. He wants to respond well to those who challenge him in his faith. But I find it interesting that he prays for boldness. Paul needs boldness? Evidently. This word bold comes from the political sphere, and it speaks of being able to say something well, being able to speak with confidence, being able to put things in order, being able to present ideas. And that's what Paul wanted. He wanted to communicate the gospel with confidence. So not only the message, but the messenger would demonstrate the good news of Jesus Christ. We see this happening early in the life of the church. After preaching for this new thing called the gospel and explaining who Jesus was as Messiah, Peter and John find themselves early in the book of Acts in jail. Eventually they're released and they go back to the rest of the church and they explain what has happened and they pray together. In Acts 4:29 it says, "Now Lord, consider their threats and enable your servants to speak your word with great boldness." Peter and John had been threatened to no more speak about this thing about Jesus. And they continued on, and their prayer was that their communication, their presentation of this good news would be with boldness. The exact same word that Paul uses when he prays that he would have boldness. The idea is not just that we would have courage in the sense to have the fortitude to stand up and speak, but we would represent Christ well. It addresses the delivery of the message and not just the content of the message. And unfortunately, there are some horrible things that have been done in the name of Christ that have communicated badly the reality of who he is. The messenger and the message have been corrupted. But if we have this kind of boldness, then our lives and everything we are speaks to the authenticity of the message we are trying to share. Again, as I said in the last video, we really need to focus on the key issue here being that of the object of our faith. It is not just about the morality. It is about the idolatry. Who is it that we are worshiping? So it becomes incumbent upon us to demonstrate a life of faith and worship in our God that is hopeful, that has credibility, that is marked by compassion. So our message then can be delivered well.